Yep. Being live stream. Just let me put it on mute and then I shall kick us off. All right, we are live. Chris, happy Monday, happy Monday, happy Monday, everyone. Uh, Welcome to the Risk Reward Show presented by Risk Reward Media. I am your host, Derek Stroman, joined by the one and only
Chris Mercado.
Okay, and we are here to help you find the upside in your career and in your business. Chris, happy Monday. How was your day?
Happy Monday. It's been a solid day so far. Productive. Just bearing with the cold.
Yes,
Yeah, just hoping for warmer weather.
same here, same here. I'm thinking about Florida. All right, so let's just jump right into our show. Our first segment is always the weekly rewind. So, Chris, I want to kick it off to you. What's something that's intrigued you this week?
The markets.
Mm,
Um, it's been intriguing, which is also to say that it's been painful.
mm,
So seeing investments go down, you know, like 10 percentage points just, within the past week. Doesn't make you feel good. Um, but there's one stock in particular that has been very intriguing, and that's Peloton. Um, I haven't owned it. I was thinking about buying some today, actually, towards the lows. Um, I remember 2 months ago, um, I think it took a hit from like, I want to say it was like near 100. Then it took a hit down to 50.
mm,
And I called a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, who had owned stock from when Peloton was, I think, in the 40s.
mm,
And she's like an avid Peloton user. And I told her, like, hey, Peloton stock is gonna tank when it opens tomorrow morning because it was on earnings.
mm.
Um, and she's like, thanks. I got it pretty low, so I'll hang on to it. Well, if she did hang on to it, um, she would be below where she purchased it because I think at its lows today it touched 25 or like 26,
Yeesh.
and I see it in after hours. It's pushed up to 29. So
Mm.
I know you have some thoughts on Peloton.
Yeah, just wanted to give some quick backstory for those who are just joining us and on their financial journey. So Peloton during the peak of COVID was the number one stock. Basically, they just provide these in-house bikes to where you can kind of just like work out and stuff like that. Like it's pretty cool. They have a good subscription model, but ever since the world is kind of back to normal, like whatever that is, Peloton has not been doing well. I'm pretty sure they did not reach like their earnings. I've read stories of them having to stop just like making bikes because people aren't like buying it. People are going back outside. People are going back to just living their lives before actually before COVID happened. But I think Peloton is low enough to where you may have some of these bigger companies just outright buy it. There's rumors of Nike buying it, Apple, maybe even just like Amazon might buy it. But me personally, I know you have a take on who might buy it, but we'll save that for later. But for me personally, I think the best buy or like the easiest buy would probably be Apple. They already have like their fitness, I guess like their fitness side of Apple to where you can just have like these workout videos and stuff like that. So adding something like a Peloton to their just like to their just to their portfolio, I think would be very very useful in terms of just having like that actual product that you can use and just making it a part of like the Apple just like lifestyle. So um Nike, I don't see Nike as like an indoor thing. I think Nike's more like outdoors. And if Amazon was to just buy it, I think it'll just be just because Amazon can. But companies like Apple, they have so much cash on hand to where buying this company wouldn't be like a problem at all. So hopefully we'll see what happens with just like Peloton. I know you said the stock is at like an all-time low. Even when it was at the peak during COVID, I didn't buy, but I was always just just like always watching it. But I think when it comes to those subscription models, I feel like you will get to a point where you're gonna have enough people doing like the same thing. So what's next? Like besides the bikes, like what else could they do? But we shall see. We shall see. So for me, if anybody got a chance, well, did you get a chance to see the football games we had? The
All
playoffs?
of them, all of them.
Yeah.
And I'm a better man for it. I think if whoever watched it, if you don't end up becoming just a better person from watching all of that excellence and this idea of how do you perform under pressure, always being like thinking about just how amazing the performances were.
Yeah.
Like it was probably the best weekend in NFL history. That's right. I said it. It's the best weekend.
It was
in NFL history.
Like it was. I was on my edge for all games, all 4 quarters. I'm me personally. I really wanted the Chiefs to lose, but I'm very happy for Josh Allen and the Bills to really get that far. I wish they really would have had a chance because they were literally scoring whenever they wanted to, and it really came down to them just having the ball first. But the real shocker was seeing the Rams beat Brady on like that last play by Cooper Kupp. By the way, he's on my fantasy team, so thank you very much.
Yeah, and so for me, Matthew Stafford is, I think, portrayed unfairly because he was with the Detroit Lions for so long. Mm-hmm. And I know you have a take about one of his wide receivers.
Oh, Mr. Hold'em Beckham Jr.
Good hands. He has good hands, but I think you discovered a take that not many people have explored.
Yeah, Mr. Beckham Jr. I feel like was on that wave of taking your paycheck in the Bitcoin, but he did this when Bitcoin was at its peak around like 60K. Today Bitcoin is hovering around like 36, I think. So his deal was the Rams paid him $750,000 within the Bitcoin. So at that time, sounds good, sounds great, but the price of Bitcoin goes up and down. So now that 75,000 is probably like 30 something. So he essentially lost a bunch of money. And the crazy thing is that he will now be taxed on that 750,000, even though he doesn't have that now. My thing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he should be taxed unless he sells it. But I don't know how payroll with Bitcoin works. So let's see how that works out.
So I thought that's the policy, right? You're not going to get taxed unless you make a transaction in terms of selling, or you could write it off as a tax loss. But I think that may have only been for 21. But regardless of that, I think this idea of being paid in Bitcoin was always ridiculous from the start. So for me, why don't you just get the cash and then figure out what you want to do after? Like that could be, purchasing some Bitcoin, or you could have used that money and diversified over various coins, or you could have put some in stock versus crypto. So I always thought that was a ridiculous thing to do for anyone.
But it sounds cool though. They paid me in Bitcoin.
So that's the thing. It sounds cool. And I guess if you want the attention of the crypto crowd, then you might be a hero to them. So that might have some benefits. But for me, just being sensible about it, maybe want to read that as conservative, just take the cash. By the way, before we leave football, I think there's a huge life lesson in what happened at the Bills Chiefs game.
Talk to me.
Well, there's a few lessons. So one, Patrick Mahomes actually didn't throw a ball deep the entire game. And that's because Buffalo's defense played him a certain way, and other defenses have been playing him a certain way where they're forcing him to take what's there, what's short. And I think Patrick has learned to take what's there. And I think this is a life lesson here. Like, I know we're swinging for home runs or trying to make those big moves, but don't forget that maybe what's easily accessible in front of you, like, go take that, right? And then use that as a step towards like the bigger victory. So don't always, go for this like all or nothing mindset. And I think when you think about life, it's about these small wins that build up rather than, that one lucky shot down the field. So that's one big lesson. The other big lesson I take from Josh Allen is you can be perfect and the outcome still might not go your way. So something that I've talked about with, folks I've coached or mentored or folks that I'm training now, if you focus on the process, it's not going to guarantee you the outcome. But if you're so good at the process, it just increases your probability of a positive outcome. It just doesn't guarantee it. You would think that when you take the lead with 13 seconds left, that pretty much guarantees a positive outcome for Josh Allen and the Bills. But there was brilliance on the other side, and Josh Allen had no control of that brilliance. So when we apply this to our lives, it's, one, let's be process focused, right? And do the best you possibly can. And let's let the outcome, play out. Because if we have mastered the process, the outcome should be positive. And then sometimes, like, the competitor just like outdoes you, and it could have been luck, but sometimes it outdoes you. And I hope people don't simply judge results on a resume. I think for me, context is king, and I hope people pay more attention about people's career journeys, because that would be, analogous to the whole, like, the process part. So those are some life lessons for me. But yeah, best weekend in football history. And I'm afraid that the Super Bowl will not live up to the excitement that we saw.
Not unless the Bengals make it. Because if Joe Burrow makes it, I think it'll be as exciting just because of who he is and like the swag that he brings. But we shall see.
We shall see.
We shall see. All right. Now I feel like we've been talking about what's sounding cool, what should go on people's resumes and stuff like that. But I do want to transition into our main topic. So recently, Nick Tran, who formerly was the global head of marketing at TikTok, was let go. Right. To a lot of people, this was, for me, I really didn't know until you brought it to my attention, Chris. But I definitely want to have you kind of give some background story about Nick Tran and the, what's happening there at the TikTok.
Sure. So Nick was an executive over at Hulu, and he went over to I would argue the hottest company in the world, TikTok, as its head of global marketing. And some articles came out as of last week that he left. And in taking deeper dives on various articles, it was noted that he may have, it was characterized as his going rogue, but apparently he had a few initiatives in mind that he didn't get buy-in from senior leadership. So I think this is a great topic to explore, not just about what's going on TikTok, but also some broader themes that could be helpful for our careers and our business ventures. So one of the initiatives was this idea of partnering with ghost kitchens. And if you think about it, when you look at TikTok and you see like the recipe TikToks, the food TikToks, you can see an extension into like, hey, why not get into like the ghost kitchen business? And for me, like I would think that's a very creative way of TikTok partnering. But apparently that did not go over well with senior executives. Again, if what was alleged truly did happen, he was doing this on his own, and he didn't get the support of senior executives. And then the other part of this was there was a project related to NFTs and celebrities, and that didn't go very far either. But that too apparently did not get support from senior leadership. So you have a very talented person who was successful at Hulu, and found his way to TikTok, and TikTok's success. It was the most visited site, more than Google, in 2021. So clearly a talented guy. I always root for Asians in leadership positions. But one big lesson here is you have to get senior leadership buy-in if you want these creative ideas to flourish. You're not going to be able to do that on your own. So that goes for everyone in our audience. Again, thank you for your support, and I hope we drop gems for you every week. And the gem that we have for you is make sure you get senior leadership buy-in for some of your creative ideas. And those ideas may elevate you. Those ideas may elevate the company, but they're not going to come to fruition unless you have the backing, and sometimes this might be financial backing, of the senior leaders at your company. There's a few other stories that have been circulating about TikTok. So there are, managers who have left complaining about this culture of overworking. And when I read a couple of stories that alluded to that, there were a couple of things that came to mind. One, I think these stories are fairly accessible on the internet, or if you go on Reddit, or even if you inquire, let's say you reach out to folks at TikTok on LinkedIn, I think you'd be able to get some of these insights, right? And fine, understand if current employees can't be so open, but I'm pretty sure that they'll give you hints. Two, TikTok is owned by a Chinese company, ByteDance. So inherently, it's gonna come with Chinese working culture. And that may not be the same as how work is done here in the US, especially around these times, even if there's like a US office that you might be working from. And when I piece it all together, I start to think, okay, Well, I think people understood at least a little bit what they were getting into. And they chose a path that one would reward them with a good deal of money because of how successful TikTok has been and just being associated with that hot company and maybe getting a great title. And I think that's a more balanced view of what people have been saying about TikTok. Yes, that culture may not resemble a 40-hour work week. It might resemble a 60-hour work week. And that might be more aligned to how work is done in China versus how work is done here. But part of the great pay and that great title and being associated with a fast growth, successful company, like part of that cancels out the overworking. Like it comes with the territory. I'm not saying it's an equal balance. I'm not saying this is entirely fair for the employees. However, I do think that there was some level of calculating the risks and the rewards and still choosing to work at TikTok. Mm-hmm. So what say you, Derek, about that?
I got two points. First and foremost, I want to give Nick his kudos for being ballsy and just trying out these new projects. I think the Ghost Kitchen, me personally, I get all of my recipes from TikTok and IG. So for me, I would have been very happy to see something, like that happen. Another thing when it comes to the NFTs, this is a very hot space. Just anybody who puts one out is guaranteed to probably, make some type of, funds that go behind it. Even though it was ballsy, going back to what you said earlier, TikTok isn't a startup. I feel like maybe it's like a cultural difference too. I feel like from here in like the States, I see a lot of companies having this mindset of hey, if you do something, fail fast and then just fix it. I don't know if the Chinese culture is like that at all. But definitely who knows how much resources he used in terms of having these projects built out, how much manpower, how much money and hours and stuff like that. So you have to take all of that into consideration when you're thinking about why he was kind of just let go or end or left. And when you're in this type of corporate world, it's it's slow. I'm in it now. It's slow in certain things that I think could be done right away of hey, we should start using this rather than going through, just this route. But it literally has to go through a process of okay, I talked to the manager, I talked to the VP, I talked to the CEO, and there's an actual process that does happen. So wanting our audience to be aware of the different cultures within the different types of companies you do work for. If it's a smaller startup, you can expect change to happen literally overnight. You could be doing one thing on Monday and then switch your entire process on that Wednesday. Everything happens fast, but when you're in a TikTok probably has 1,000 people that are working for them, just globally. So things take time. Things will be slow, but I guess the senior people there, they just really didn't like it. The fact that he kind of went over their head or just didn't get their buying. But for me, very, very ballsy move. I think that will not go notice, and that leads me to my second point. Wherever Nick goes, he's good. On his resume, he has Hulu and TikTok, two very, very huge companies. And I think just having those names there would definitely those names and those titles will definitely make wherever he goes, people know of his work. So I don't think it'll be much of a big loss to him. Maybe he may try something different with another type of company, but I feel the world has a sense of the work that Nick is capable of doing. So even though this may be a loss for him for right now, I think overall wherever he goes, he's good.
All of them are going to be all right because they're going to start putting X TikTok on their LinkedIns. And they're going to feed into pedigree bias. And I bring that up because it was almost about a year ago where we commented on Hired's publication regarding pedigree bias. And, pedigree bias doesn't just allude to, what schools people go to and you only hire from those particular schools. This could also be, where people used to be employees. And if you're a recruiter, you're a hiring manager, and you're lazy, and all you start looking for is like Google, TikTok, and Amazon on people's resumes, assuming that instantly made them a perfect fit for whatever role you're trying to fill, then you're feeding into that pedigree bias. But at the same time, for professionals, look, I get it. I know why you're putting X Google, X Amazon. And it is to play into that pedigree bias so you get the edge. But just know when you do that, and when you feed into pedigree bias, you are undercutting anything you will ever say about diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're literally contradicting yourself because pedigree bias intersects with the lack of diversity that we see in places all across technology. And for me, I have this analogy of like, where else do we acknowledge our exes so proudly? I know if I'm going out on a date, I'm not telling my date about all the ex-girlfriends I've had. Like, that would be ridiculous, right? And I only see it in this professional space, particularly LinkedIn, where people flaunt their ex-companies. And again, like, there's context in there. What if you left that company because you did something awful? Why should you be rewarded with an interview by a lazy recruiter, hiring manager who just saw like ex Google, ex Amazon, like, okay, let's give this person a shot. Like, why does that deserve a shot? You don't know how they left. You don't know why they left. So for me, like, this idea of TikTok being under trial is going to open up a few bigger topics that we're starting to explore now, and we're happy to do so because it is still part of this great recalculation. So as people try to recalculate where should I work, right? How should I brand myself? Things like that. I think some of the developments surrounding TikTok and some talented employees leaving really opens up those areas of discussion.
Yeah, and I'm sure Nick has no problem branding himself at all. It's going to be easy for him to actually do that. Yeah, I mean, putting like X Amazon, X Google, that's simply just like a flex. That's really what that is. In terms of I mean, the only time I do see it as a recruiter is it really depends on like if the company that you were at was like a competitor, so similar stacks and stuff like that. So maybe if someone was working at like another company that's very, very similar to like ours, then I would definitely check that because there's definitely like an option where you can check for like past companies and stuff like that. But if you're putting it on Twitter, it's just a flex.
They're putting it as part of like the headlines and bios.
Yeah.
Right.
Just a flex. I mean, that's all that is really. Like, there's nothing else to it.
Yeah, like, I mean, you have your resume; it's acknowledged there. Like, you really want to put it up front?
I mean, like, but I feel like social media has become a resume like itself. So people are putting it everywhere that they actually can.
That's true, and there will be people like me that will dig a little deeper. And like, if you're gonna flex that, then fine. Let's see how good you are.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I do think we can take it like a deeper dive into this pedigree bias talk, but we'll save that for another time. Any last thoughts you have on Nick Tran before we move on to the
I want more Asians in leadership positions. Yes, I know Asians are overrepresented in tech companies, but they are proportionally underrepresented in leadership positions in tech. So that is a finer point in the DEI conversations that I make.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mean, I'm just curious to see where Nick lands next. I think he's gonna be followed, and I'm pretty sure he's gonna find a way to actually flip it too. Like, hey, I just left TikTok, so follow me on like the journey to the next role or something like that. Yeah. I won't be like surprised at that, but
he'll be all right. All the other ones that left, they'll be all right.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to the right move right now. Before you had mentioned Peloton in terms of like their stock dipping. We spoke about, companies that might be willing to buy them, but I wanted you to kind of tie that in with your right move right now.
Well, since you're going to mention a show called Ozarks, which I've never seen and actually don't subscribe to Netflix currently.
So you're the reason why their earnings are low.
No, their guidance was awful. Their guidance made it feel like there would be no growth, no significant growth in streaming anymore. And folks are re-rating it, but literally that stock went from like 550 to today. I thought I saw 355, and I put in some call options orders. I was like, you know what? Let me try to give it a shot. The order didn't hit, but I think it's approaching 380. So I would have made some money if it hit. But that drop was so severe that it made me start thinking about what Netflix needs to do. And I think they're the ones that should buy Peloton. They can dominate fitness streaming. They have entertainment streaming. Let's do fitness streaming. Netflix should buy Peloton. Because of the dip in the stock price, I think they are way more or less likely to do it now. But that's the move. If I was their strategy consultant, which, hey, feel free. Feel free. Feel free. I think they should put in a bid to buy Peloton. And they can now lead entertainment streaming and fitness streaming.
Yeah, like we were saying earlier, we were talking about this off camera. Netflix, they got to do something different. Like you're only going to get a certain amount of people to buy a plan or something like that. So what's next? Like you're going to hit that mark sooner. Well, I guess they hit them like that mark now, but we're at the point where people are sharing their logins and stuff like that. So it's really no need. It's now they need to really think of like something different. But however, until they do, they make very, very good shows. And one of the best ones, I think, is Ozarks. It's going to be split into two parts. Normally, me and my fiance, we like to give ourselves like probably watch like an episode just like every day. But literally, we finished part one in maybe not a full day. We probably started late Friday and finished it early Saturday. So we literally binged 7 shows, and it was awesome. I think Jason Bateman is he's an underrated just like actor. I think he's just amazing. He can be funny, but still so serious, which is cool. Because I think of him in Arrested Development, where he was like that funny guy, but he's in this like he's so serious, but it's so it's still him. Like he has like a very cool swag about him. But the show itself, I don't want to give like any spoilers for anybody, but they're on 4 seasons. So if you have never watched it, you have a lot to watch. It's a very, very good show. It'll literally keep you on edge every time. Um, just don't take actions. Don't take the actions that you see within the show. It makes you think that anybody could become a drug dealer, but it's not the case.
Yeah, so I remember Jason Bateman as a child star. And
was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a child sitcom star.
Wow.
I was like a little kid then as well.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in the industry for a very long time. And like for me, I think that this ties into the whole Netflix and Peloton. So you can have Netflix and chill, and you could also have Netflix and ride. So I think that
we should put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. So yeah, like I think it all fits in. But yeah, have great shows, but they need to expand, and I think Peloton's the way to do it. While they keep putting out great content like Ozarks. But yeah, Jason Bateman was like, I don't know if you remember Mr. Belvedere. He was in he was in one of the Teen Wolves movies.
Oh damn!
So
let's go, Jason Bateman. Okay.
Yeah. So and I think he was in like Silver Spoons too. Again, these are like the first shows I ever saw when I was when I immigrated to this country. So so his face was always like around, but he's like been in show business like literally his whole life.
So yeah, I mean, and I know he has I don't know how much power he has within the show, but you can definitely see it if he does, like how it kind of shows. But definitely a great show. Like I said, four seasons for you to watch. They just finished part 1. I don't know when part 2 is going to be coming out, but my advice when it comes to this show, just take your time, space it out, because you will finish it very, very quickly.
Nice.
All right. And with that being said, we are at the end of our show for today. We've hit you with a couple of hot takes. I mean, Chris hit us with the biggest one, saying that Netflix should buy Peloton. I would love to see how that goes.
Yeah, and we'll keep coming with some fresh takes and contrarian perspectives and upcoming episodes. So our 1-year anniversary is coming up soon.
Woohoo!
We're trying to find ways to make that extra special. But thank you all for your support.
Yes, thank you all for your support. Please like, subscribe, and share any of our episodes. We will definitely love to see the comments and in our YouTube page also. And until then, we shall see you all next week.